Marshall downs Southern Miss. Texas State finally beats the Cajuns. And ULM students pass an activities fee. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by TurboTax. Ready for stress-free taxes and the most money back guaranteed? Head over to TurboTax.com today and get matched with your experts. More on that later. All right, Marshall, as we mentioned, takes 2 out of 3 from Southern Miss, although Southern Miss's RPI doesn't take a major hit, interestingly enough. Texas State beats the Cajuns. That may be all she wrote for UL. And ULM students approve a fee. We will talk about that. We're trying to get John Hartwell on, the ULM AD, to explain it a little bit more in detail and in depth, but we'll try to hit the main talking points there. But the main series over the weekend was, well, one of the bigger upsets was Marshall taking 2 out of 3 from Southern Miss. And what this did was, at least for the time being, and we still have 3-way tie in first place, but with the Cajuns winning on Friday night and Southern Miss losing, there was a 4-way tie for first place in the Sunbelt Conference. Where have we seen that before? As I mentioned, and I tweeted out, deja vu all over again. So it was Southern Miss, Troy, Coastal Carolina, and Georgia. No, I got to look. I got it posted. Let me see here. Did I say that off the top of my head correctly? Troy, Coastal, Southern Miss, and the Cajuns. All right, we're all 8-4. All right, Cajuns have since slipped because they did lose 2 out of 3. But they played a doubleheader on Saturday. Southern Miss took the second game of the series, but first of the doubleheader. Marshall took the nightcap, if you will, of the doubleheader, and therefore wins the series. Marshall has had, I mean, we talked about South Alabama's roller coaster of a season in football. How about Marshall's roller coaster of a season when it comes to baseball? Remember, they started the year out in Hawaii, win or lose, not bad, but they had lost 5 in a row. And in fact, they had lost 6 out of their first 7 ball games. So keep that in mind. They started out 1-6. All right. Then they proceeded to win 9 in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, 9 in a row. So that makes them 10-6. Then they lost 4 out of 5. And in fact, they actually lost, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They lost 9 out of their next 11. Only to have won 3 in a row and now 4 out of 5. So talk about a crazy, wacky season. So how do we do that? They were 10-6, and they lost, what do we say, 9 out of 11. So that is 2-9. That makes them 12-15, and now they're 16-16 because they've won 4 out of the last 5. I checked my math. But really impressive that Marshall did that. Now, I think these games were in Huntington. They were. Baseball is actually the only sport that actually has a true home field advantage because you get the last ups. We've been over that before, right? Outside of the extraneous stuff that you really can't control, noise, crowd noise, last ups is actually the home field advantage. Okay. But that's a great job by Marshall. Southern Miss is, and we're going to harp on it, right? Their RPI did not fall that much. I went to look. I thought it was much worse. This is from when we posted all those RPIs from last week. So this is not updated. This is maybe heading into the week. All right. They were 44. All right. They lost 2 out of 3 to Marshall. They're down to 46. That's not awful considering Marshall's RPI is $150. All right. So it did not fall off the table if that is correct. Let me see. And we're going, of course, by Warren Nolan. And up to date, they are 150s Marshall. So the bottom has now fallen out for Southern Miss. And obviously, Marshall with 150 RPI is nowhere near in a spot to go for an at-large berth. But if the top teams are 8-4 in the conference, and that's where they are standings wise, and Marshall is 7-5, so they're, or no, I guess Marshall's not 7-5, they're 5-7. Sorry, so they still have a little bit of ways to go. All right, I thought they were 7-5, but maybe they're turning things around. Who knows? With a huge, again, roller coaster of a ride to lose, what do we say, 6 out of 7, win 9 in a row, and then lose 9 out of 11. That's crazy. That makes no sense. On the other hand, Southern Miss has to start to put things together. And let's just check out the Southern Miss. I want to check out the Southern Miss schedule, because is it going to help them or not? All right. George, let's see. They're at Texas State. They're actually playing Alabama. Can't hurt. They are at Texas State. They're hosting Georgia State. That's not going to be great RPI-wise, although Georgia State's record is pretty good. They're at App State. They get Arkansas State. They get the Cajuns. They're at Troy. That's going to be the only thing that helps them out. If we go over to Warren Nolan, let's check this out right now. All right. As of right now, Texas State's RPI is 91. That doesn't help. All right. Let's see here. Southern Miss's schedule after that. Georgia State is, although they are tied for first in the conference, they're 132. And that's not going to help. All right. Keep on going. App State. App State's RPI is 179. That hurts. I mean, that's a crusher. And now we go to Arkansas State. Arkansas State's is 220. Ouch. Whereas, so if you take 2 out of 3 from App State and Arkansas State, it crushes you. Those losses are awful. And unfortunately, but that's the way baseball is meant to be played. It's kind of, that's why they're series and double eliminations. All right, one more. You do get the Cajuns. Cajuns are going to be in the 80s. Let's see where the Cajuns are. Cajuns are, in fact, the Cajuns fell all the way to 110. Going into the week last week, they were 77. They lost to La Tech, which put them in the 80s, and they just lost 2 out of 3 to Texas State, which puts them into 110, and now they're not sniffing at large berth at all. All right, we'll get to that a little bit later. And then the last series is Troy, and that's obviously going to help. Troy is ranked 24th in the RPI. Now, Southern Miss is, again, we mentioned that last week with D1 baseball, putting Southern Miss in as a 2 seed. They better start winning. Let's see what their record is overall. 22-10, 32. So that means they have 24 ball games left. Let's see what Warren Nolan has, just for the heck of it, what they think they're going to finish out as. Predicted results, 22-10. He predicts them at 40-15. So they're less 1 ball game. That's only 55 games compared to the 56 games. So they missed 1 game, got rained out or something like that. They have an RPI of 34. I'd feel pretty good about that. As a Sun Belt team, more about history than this year. But that means they're losing 3 more games this year. That's it. Is that really what's going to happen? Are they only going to lose 3 more games this year? That's doing a lot of sweeping and not losing one of those midweek ball games. So Southern Miss has put themselves in a spot where they cannot afford to lose a whole lot more baseball games. All right. We'll do more of the Sun Belt. We sort of concentrated on Marshall and Southern Miss as the case may be. Texas State goes into Louisiana and beats the Cajuns in Lafayette. Unheard of, but the Bobcats do it. And all 3 games came down to the end. We'll talk about that next, right after I tell you about TurboTax. This is a message from sponsor Intuit, TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you're going to get any money back. And then waiting and wondering and worrying some more. Now, Taxes is matching with TurboTax Expert, who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives you your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on the progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. All so you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now, this is Taxes. Get an expert on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. I will say I use TurboTax. I'm expecting I did it a week ago. I'm expecting my return refund this week. Fast. How about that? All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Cajuns and Texas State played really what was a good series. I think the Cajuns won the first game 2-0. I think that was, yeah. Then Texas State won the next game. It may have been 4-2. I was going to say 2-0. Was it both? That's not right. I had it in my head. Both games were 2-0. I'm not sure that's the case. Saturday, it was 2-0. I was right. All right. So it was 2-0, 2-0. And then on Sunday, it was 4-3. Texas State gets a RBI triple in the ninth. So really a well-pitched, and without seeing all the games, well-defended series. How many runs were allowed in the whole series? 4 and 11 runs, 11 total runs in the whole series. Usually you can get that in one game. And so that's well-pitched. Cajuns are young. They're beat up. And that's a good job by Texas State, especially because Texas State sort of lost a heartbreaker on Friday night. A 2-run home run by Hepworth for the Cajuns in the bottom half of the eighth inning. And all of a sudden they got to come up in the ninth and they can't get anything going. They bounce back the next day, win 2-0. And in a ball game that could certainly go either way, 3-3 in the ninth, it's Texas State that comes through. And they don't do this very often. They don't beat the Cajuns very often, at all. And I don't think they do it very much. Let me see what it said on Twitter. For the first time, and this is the Texas State baseball account, for the first time since 2021, and just the third time ever, the Bobcats took the series from the Ragin Cajuns on the road. That does not happen very often. All right. Not been a great season for the Cajuns. I think it's just young. They had a lot of talent that turned over. All right. We'll see what happens as that talent becomes healthy and more experienced for next year. I don't think they're going to the NCAA tournament this year without a conference championship, without a tournament championship. All right. They went from 77 down to 110 in a week. And they do not have a hard schedule remaining. So it's going to take a lot for them to get close to an RPI. All right. Elsewhere in the conference, Coastal Carolina did take 2 out of 3, although they lost the last ball game against Arkansas State. Coastal Carolina won the first 2 ball games 4-1, and then lost the last ball game on Sunday 2-0. And so it's a good job by Arkansas State to salvage the last game of the series. But at the same time, Coastal goes in there and wins a couple of ball games. I believe, let me see, maybe it was at home. I miss it. It was in Conway, and they were 4-1 both ball games Friday and Saturday. They lost Sunday's ball game 2-0. So that's going to hurt. That's got to be disappointing for Coastal Carolina because that's going to kill you All right. We can look at it here. Remember, they had a top 10 RPI, but they lost one game to Arkansas State. They're 20. Or no, I'm sorry, 12. Sorry, Troy was 20. They're down to 12. So they went from top 10 into top 20. Right. So that's the difference between a national seed and now you're hoping to host. It's a big difference. It is a big difference when you're Coastal Carolina. All right. Elsewhere in the Sun Belt, Troy takes 2 out of 3. They're atop the standings. So Troy, Coastal Carolina, and Southern Miss are all 8-4. Troy takes 2 out of 3 from ODU on the road. Beat them 7-0, 4-3, and then lose the final ball game on Sunday, 9-5. So both Coastal Carolina and Troy had chances for the sweep. Compare that to, say, Marshall, who lost the middle ball game and ends up winning the series, taking the second game of the doubleheader. So a little bit different with those situations. All right. Elsewhere in the Sun Belt, I believe you had, now I got to look because I knew the standings in itself. Georgia Southern actually, I think Georgia Southern took a 2 out of, no, South Alabama actually. I do this. South Alabama actually took 2 out of 3 from Georgia Southern, 12-6. They lost the second game 9-4, and then won the, I rephrase that again, doubleheaders. South Alabama won the first game of the doubleheader 18-6, lost the second game of the doubleheader 9-4. So they had already won the series, something that South Alabama, I don't think had done yet this year. So in the Sun Belt. So that's a big job. Big stuff there for Mark Kelvey and his crew there. And did I see this right? Did Georgia State sweep JMU 10-0 on Friday, 7 innings, 11-5 on Saturday, and on Sunday, 8-5. Wow. How about those Panthers? Again, RPI wise, still not that great. Unfortunately, they are, as we mentioned, 132, having a solid season though, 21-13, tied for first place in the Sun Belt. That's pretty good. All right. They are setting themselves up to have a nice seeding when it comes to the conference tournament. And I'm not even going to start to think about tiebreakers at this point in time. You guys know how much that hurts my head. They have a tough schedule, though. All right. They have Coastal Carolina and Southern Miss back-to-back weeks. And on this Tuesday coming up, tomorrow, as the case may be, Jacksonville State, who's 21-11. Not great, Bob. So we'll see if Georgia State comes back down to earth. They are hosting Coastal Carolina, and they're going to Hattiesburg to take on Southern Miss. So things could change here dramatically. Then they have the Cajuns at home. They're hosting Marshall, and they wrap up with App State in lovely Boone, North Carolina. We will see what Georgia State can do. I mean, if you're Georgia State, can you – obviously you'd love to do better than 500, but that's taking 2 out of 3 from Coastal at home and not getting swept by Southern Miss on the road. Doesn't sound great, but anything better than that is 4-2, and then anything worse than that, you've lost the series, both of them. It's not a bad thing if they can finish those 2 series 500. Their RPI will go way up, as the case may be. All right, we'll any ones we didn't cover in this episode, we'll cover on Tuesdays. And again, hopefully spring ball, I think, is done at some places. Do have Wednesday and Thursday off back in Louisville, as you can see. I say Wednesday and Friday off. So we'll see if we can get some coaches on football wise, and maybe a new basketball coach in Jonesboro. Hint, 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 hint. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back. ULM students, barely, but they did. We're going to move on. Approve an activities fee. We'll talk about that when we come back after I tell you about Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, and bourbon purchasing, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so stop managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery and the bourbon. And now I budget smarter and save more. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for half off your first year. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. It was a fun trip home, seeing my mom and Diana real quickly. Did have a few days off, but now we're back, obviously. In Louisville, flooding around here is not great. My area and where I work is okay, but there's a lot of places that are not, and we're wishing them all the best. All right, so ULM, probably need to check this out, but ULM students approve activity fee. And that is, I think that's what we're going to call it, activity fee. All right, let's see here. ULM improvements. Oh, they're calling it athletic fee. Okay. ULM students approve new athletic fee. University of Louisiana Monroe. This is KNOE.com. University of Louisiana Monroe announced this past Thursday that the athletic fee has been approved. Students at the University of Monroe heading to the polls this week that could bring significant changes to the university. If approved, which it was, the fee is expected to generate $600,000 in its first year. ULM Athletic Director John Hartwell says the university operates with the lowest athletic budget in the Sun Belt Conference, standing at approximately $21 million. He believes the new fee would help bridge the financial gap between ULM and conference schools. Not that much, if it's $600,000. That's nice. That's more, but not when JMU has like 50 or 60, because they have the same fee. Like the Cajuns don't have the fee, I don't believe. ULM just passed their fee, but JMU's been having that fee for a long time, and that's why they have some great facilities up there, and are way ahead when it comes to how well funded their athletic program is. All right, let's see what else it says here. If you look at the other end of the spectrum, here you go. James Madison in our league actually charges students $1,200 per semester. So that's $2,400 per year. The proposed fee for ULM is $75 combined with 4 other existing fees. Only full-time in-person students would be required to pay the new fee, which, if approved, would take effect in the fall semester. The funding would support various improvements, including new video board in Fant Ewing Coliseum, enhanced nutrition program for student athletes. That is, to me, that is much more important than a scoreboard, all right? Although on a scoreboard, you may be able to get some advertising. Hartwell emphasized that the benefits would extend beyond athletics. What does this benefit, he says? Yes, it benefits our men's and women's basketball programs and our volleyball program, all of which compete at Fant Ewing Coliseum, but it will also enhance general student body functions like graduations, concerts, and various events in the Coliseum. Students have mixed opinions on the proposed fee. Some see it as necessary investment in ULM's athletic programs, while others question whether they should be required to pay additional fees. I hear both sides of it, ULM student Gabrielle Thomas said. Some people think it will benefit athletics more with the facilities that we have and more with other athletics besides football, because you got to think we have basketball and tennis courts outside that need to be updated. All right. So they did pass. It did not pass by a wide margin. I will say that. Let me see if it is here. Passing is passing. Let's see if it's under the ULM Warhawks Twitter feed. And you gotta have to go through all the weekend. Here we go. John Hartwell tweeted out, "Every day is a great day to be a Warhawk, but today is extra special. Thank you, students. Thank you to all who advocated for this fee. Warhawks win." That did not have the final tally. I don't know why I think this. I seem to see it somewhere along the way. I believe it was 711 to like 685 or something along those lines. I do not know why. And I think it was that athletics fee. Let's see if we can tweet it out. See if someone posted it with the thing. It does not say. So again, we are going to try and have them on here. They need to do something. Oh, here we go. I was close. 711 as Aaron Dietrich does this. In fact, he may be the one from, he is a sports director from KNOE Channel 8. 711, yes. 650, no. So, I mean, almost 50-50. So, and again, one of those things, I do happen to believe that your organization is only as strong as your weakest link. And John Hartwell is trying to do everything he can to improve that weakest link, and that is usually Monroe. All right. We've talked about this going into Monroe. Football game is really hard to play because usually there's no fans. Now that changed this year or this past season. Let's see if we build upon that for Bryant Vincent. All right. Basketball was the same way. You have to get yourself excited. So when you go in there and play like a 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon ball game and nobody's there, it's tough to get all that excited because the best part about playing on the road is kind of quieting the fans down. Well, it's already quiet, so you just don't have any adrenaline flowing through you because we've seen that time and time again. That's what happens. But now fans are starting to come out. All right. A huge step was taken. I know they, ended up on a losing streak to end the season, but they got a lot of enthusiasm. They had a big win over JMU in football. And Bryant Vincent flirted, all right, I believe with Jacksonville State and came back. We'll see. We're trying to get him on the show again to see how he can build on season number 2. But those are the kind of things that, ULM is no pushover anymore. Right? You may still beat them, but boy, you're going to feel it because that's the kind of defense that they were playing last year. Right? They need a little bit more, a few more weapons on offense, and we're sort of getting off the track here. But that's the point, is that when you build on football, then that can build everything else. All right. And that's basically for so long, baseball and softball were carrying the Cajuns. Then Hudspeth came in. All right. And turned it around. And now, I mean, they've had, I think, one losing season since 2011. One losing season with Ragin Cajuns football. And I'm not talking about 6-6 and losing a bowl game. One losing regular season in that's a long time. That's impressive. All right. It has been a golden era of Ragin Cajuns football. That is for sure. With a Sun Belt Championship in there, and where they win 13 ball games, and that's led to other stuff. Now they got to get the basketball program going, and their new coach is only coaching in the national championship later on tonight. We'll see how that goes. But it's a good stuff by ULM and their students. Again, it didn't pass by much, but passed by enough, and we'll see if they can take it to the next level. As John Hartwell said, one of the things that you got to do, and he is not shy, you got to ask. And people just have not been forward enough to ask. John Hartwell's asking. And he asked for the athletics fee. He's asked for NIL money. He's asked for all kinds of support there. And so far, he's getting it. Now they need to turn it on the field. Football sort of turned it around. Basketball was bad. They had a new coach there, Phil Cunningham. And baseball is struggling as well. So we'll see eventually, it's got to be eventually, because those things don't turn around normally in 1 year. All right. Let's take want to thank you. All right. We'll see. Hopefully we will get some guests on this week. Again, have Wednesday and Friday off. I can reach out to some coaches here early Monday. Seem to be going in a little bit later on Monday morning due to all the rain, but hopefully we'll be all set there. And we'll just continue to follow the baseball and see where it goes from there, and see if we can get some recaps from spring football as well. All right. Thank you again so much. Continued support. Really do appreciate it. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Have a great Monday, everybody. And we'll talk to you again on Tuesday.